How do you like to finish the college basketball season paying under $30 per week? Between now and Selection Sunday on March 12th, there's still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and Wager Talk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special that will include the rest of the college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. That's right, from Monday, February 27th through Monday, April 3rd, there are 5 full weeks of hoops action, which breaks down to under $30 per week. Sign up for this promotion now on your favorite handicapper's homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship in Houston on Monday, April 3rd, plus all non-March Madness tourneys, including the NIT and CBI, all for only $149. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experiences in sports. Some call March Madness the most exciting time in sports betting, so act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time. Grab your favorite college basketball handicapper, or perhaps add 2 or 3 college hoops experts to make this March Madness not only exciting, but also profitable. No coupon is needed, just head to the homepage of the handicapper of choice and lock the $149 price in now. As the earlier you sign up, the more days you receive.
Hey guys, welcome in here to Wager Talk TV for another episode of Puck Time. I am Andrew McGinnis. Happy to be here. Looking forward to breaking down games here today with my partner in crime, Carmine Bianco. Just the two of us for today's show. Pretty good weekend for myself with UFC and NHL combined. A rock solid Saturday, decent Friday, and yesterday I was very disappointed by the Avalanche blowing their lead with 2 minutes to go and then end up losing that one in overtime. I did have a 4% play on Colorado in regulation yesterday, but still a pretty good run, I believe, 7-2 run in the NHL as we approach today's card here on a Monday. And Carm, it might be a small slate here on a Monday, but it's still a decent one. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. It was a quiet week. Well, no, actually, it wasn't really a quiet weekend. Andrew, I started off pick-wise. I think it was good overall. It was last week was very good. I think we picked up about 20, 24, 25 units across hockey and soccer, heating up. Player props keep hitting. I think we went 4-1 last week with the show best bets on the player props because Jack Hughes, or I think what did I have in the last day? I think it was Jack Hughes, but that one
First
hit.
period.
But yeah, it was nuts. It all comes back to that Sam Reinhart one that has me pissed off. But if you don't follow me on Twitter, I got to mention Friday night, for those I mentioned on the show previously, the Prez got engaged last month to Vivian, both big diehard Leaf fans. So I took them out to a really nice restaurant north of Toronto on Richmond Hill called Terra. And then we, in the midst of a snowstorm here, we drove back to their place for maybe a half an hour. I just had to beat the snow, but I got them a cake. And there's a picture of them with the cake. But in my own style, sometimes I can be a bit of a dick. I had to, do something with that cake. So our graphics guy here at Wager Talk did an absolutely wonderful job on that cake. And I'm not sure if we can actually zoom in or not. But as you'll see, it's literally and you'll see it there. It's a Zamboni shot of me on the Zamboni. And the cake itself says, may your marriage last longer than the Leafs in the playoffs. And I think that's saying something because, it's the Leafs. They haven't gotten out of the first round since Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook. So with that said, fantastic work by our graphics guy, Will. Each and every time I ask him for something, whether it's the banana in the tailpipe, the pizza parlay, whatever it is, he comes up with the most awesome graphics. So I thank him very much for that. But Andrew, that said, it was a good week overall. I'm looking forward to it. There are so many playoff races going on right now, and just a lot of unbelievable unbelievable games. So NHL is really going to heat up. You look at those races for the 7 and 8 seeds, they're heating up. And then not only that, other than the Boston Bruins, every other division, the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are up for grabs. And that is all you could ask for when you have 20 games left in the season.
Absolutely. I mean, you just kind of hope that there's some type of chase going on. Some teams are competing for playoff spots, not just playoff spots, though, but like you mentioned, home ice. Home ice advantage, of course, is huge in the playoffs. And we'll kind of keep you guys updated on which teams are where in the standings and kind of what games are meaningful to some teams and, what teams might not matter as much. But for today's games, we have the Oilers and Sabres, Flame Stars, Capitals, Kings, and the Predators and Vancouver Canucks will be the last game we discuss. I have my buy and sell segment, which went pretty well last week. And of course, best bets from us at the end of the show. First game we'll break down here, guys. Edmonton Oilers here, Buffalo Sabres. Carm, we have a 7 across the board as a total in this one here. And it's no surprise. And I will tell you that I did see in some spots, I actually saw a 7.5. I'm not sure how many times we've seen that before, a 7.5 in a hockey game here, but Edmonton minus 160, Buffalo plus 135 here. If you want the puck line, plus 155 there on the Edmonton Oilers, but on the season, Edmonton averaging 3.86 goals per game, Buffalo 3.73. Both teams average around 33, 34 shots per game. And both these clubs have unbelievable power plays. They find a way to get it done. The interesting thing, as far as that 7 is concerned, I know that's about recent form. I know that 10 games with 2 different teams and different conferences, they do not see each other very often. But over the last 10 games, the total has only gone over 4 times. In the last 3 games, the total has only gone over 1 time. And here we are seeing a 7 here as the total in this one. The Edmonton Oilers, they played Winnipeg back-to-back games. And I liked the over. I only played it in one of the games, but we saw a 6-3 win for them at home. And then the very next day, they go ahead and lose the next one 7-5 as Jack Campbell continues to struggle. Carm, a hockey team should not be scoring 5 goals and losing a hockey game. But Buffalo, they're not giving up. They're playing good hockey. And games that they're losing, they're usually losing to pretty good teams there. But I'll tell you what, I think Edmonton is playing really solid hockey right now. They're managing to score in high numbers every single game. The only games they're losing is when they're giving up, 6 or 7 goals. And I feel like after what happened last game in Winnipeg, they will probably give us a better defensive effort. And we will see Stuart Skinner in net tonight for the Oilers. So I lean towards the Oilers side. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually lean towards the under here with the 7 as the total. What do you have for us, Carm?
Oh, Andrew, that's just crazy talk. No, listen, I get it with the 7s. I looked at this number last night and I thought it's never going to go to 6.5. I just can't see it going to 6.5. And the vig at the time was 7, I think minus 115-ish on the over. And my only thought was really, if you're taking the over, you got to take it now just to save yourself a little bit of vig, because it's probably going to go to minus 120, 125. You can save yourself 10 cents or so, which long term, saving that little bit of juice is important. I just don't see how the Oilers play any low scoring games. The Sabres somehow find a way of beating some good teams. On Saturday, they beat, albeit a struggling Tampa Bay team right now, but they went to Florida and they beat both Tampa and Florida. And then Tampa comes up in a spot that I thought could be a good revenge spot for them to beat the Sabres, who don't normally play well at home. They're 13-18 at home as opposed to 19-11 on the road. And Tampa played horrible. The Sabres, and we talked about it, John Cooper, whether he rested players in the third period or whether he benched them. Stamkos and Point only had 13 and 14 minutes each in that game, and these guys are normally chart 18 minutes or more. So you can look at it 2 ways. They have to play Carolina the next day, whether they rest them or not. But when you look at this game, Andrew, and you're looking at the total. The Sabres at home, as I mentioned, 13-18. Their games at home are averaging 7.58 goals per game. A full half a goal higher than on the road where they're 19-11, but still 707 is the average goals per game when the Sabres play on the road. And you look at the Oilers, you look at their last 3 games, 5 up against the Leafs, 6 against Winnipeg in a win, and then they split that by losing on the road the next night, 7-5. This is a team that is scoring goals. We talk about the volatility of team totals. If you like the Edmonton team total tonight, it's probably one to grab early because these shoot up during the day. If they start at -140, they end up at -185. The Oilers team total is 3.5 here, -145 at DraftKings right now. I checked it as you were discussing the game, and I am positive that number will be at like 185 or 190 later on in the afternoon. I'm looking at goals here in this one. I lean to the Edmonton side. I just can't lay that amount of juice. These are 2 teams. Oilers are pressing for that top spot in the Pacific. They've dropped off a bit. Sabres are pushing for a playoff spot in the midst of a terrible scheduling spot because tomorrow they've got to go to New York to play the Islanders in the second of a back-to-back. I think they might want to try and get the 2 points here because that's a bad spot for them tomorrow. So I'll just look at the over here, but the team total is the play. Over 3.5, -145 on the Oilers.
All right. Oilers team total over 3.5 goals there for Carm. And like he said, we're sitting here doing this show at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Those numbers do move. So if you do like that play, get in early on it. And Carm, just a quick point, what you said there about the Buffalo schedule. I mean, you've been talking about that for a while now. They have been fighting through it. But Ottawa, who's riding a really big streak right now, they're a team that has a lot lighter of a schedule to end off the year than a team like Buffalo does. And of course, they're going head to head right now, trying to squeak into that final wild card spot. So it is interesting when you look at the strengths of schedules for teams as they approach the playoffs. As you don't get to choose your schedule, but you might look back at some games in October or November and say, man, I wish I would have won that one. And now Ottawa is playing really well.
And that's the point. You look at the Sabres, and Andrew, it's a good point. You're going to look back at some games that you think that you should have won or not should have won based on what happened in the game. But going into the game, it's a spot that you really needed to pick up the points. Listen, losing to the Boston Bruins 7-1, they allowed 5 goals in the third period. They got blown out in that game. So be it. The game before that, they play at home against Columbus. And that's a game you need to win. It wasn't the second of a back-to-back. It wasn't 3 and 4 nights. Those are 2 points left on the dressing room floor or the ice or whatever you want to call it. Those are games you have to win. You can't go to Florida and beat Florida and Tampa and then come home and lose to Columbus and then beat Tampa again. It just does not. And then the other thing is when the Sabres are on a back-to-back with this brutal scheduling that they have, if it's Luukkonen in goal tonight, it's not likely going to be Luukkonen in goal tomorrow. So then you've got Eric Comrie and you've got 41-year-old Craig Anderson. They don't have the goaltending, Andrew, I think, to finish off the season with a brutal scheduling thing to make. I would love to see them make the playoffs in that 8 seed. But as you said, Ottawa probably has the best chance of upending Pittsburgh or the New York Islanders. I think 3 games or 4 games in hand on the Islanders. And if they surprise everyone and win tomorrow, hey, fantastic. But as you said, Ottawa's playing lights out hockey right now, and they could very well be the team along with the Islanders that keep Pittsburgh, Washington, and the Sabres out of the playoffs.
And Carm, I've already decided it. I filled out the paperwork already. I've already made the trip plans. I've hopped on the bandwagon of the Ottawa Senators. So Ottawa versus the Bruins, round 1. Give me the Senators in 7 games if they make it. I'll be cheering for them, that's for sure. But who knows? Real quick, Draisaitl over 2.5 shots on goal in that game. Buffalo ranks 25th in the league on shots against, and Leon is playing very well right now for his team. Calgary and Dallas, our next game to go over here. Go right to Carmine for his thoughts on this one. Dallas, a big game for them against Colorado. Carm, I knew something was up when it seemed like the entire world was on Colorado in that game, and Dallas played one of their most well-rounded games they played of the season, I thought anyway. The Dallas Stars now -135 against the Calgary Flames that are clearly just a different, step below than a lot of the teams in their division. They're plus 115, and rightfully so. Totals at 6, shaded towards the under. I will add, we did see 5.5s at one point in this game. What do you have for us in this one?
What I'm going to do after this show is, and the odds are probably terrible at this point, is look to see if I could find a price on Calgary not to make the playoffs. It's something I should have taken 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. We talked about it, I think, on Friday's show. They're getting farther and farther away from the playoffs just because of the way they're playing. You can't lose, I think it's 5 straight I'm looking at. And they're now 7 points back of the Winnipeg Jets with the same amount of games in hand. And they've got in between them, they have Nashville as well, too. They have 19 games left. 19 games. It is so tough to make up 7 points. 7 points doesn't seem like a lot, but it is in the grand scheme of things. To make up 7 points over 19 games is very tough. And the fact that 9 of those games are against teams that are currently in the playoffs or just outside of the playoffs in a playoff race. So those teams aren't packing it in and giving them an easy night moving forward. And I'll talk about scheduling, because I did a lot of scheduling work this weekend as well too, to find some good spots, but it is tough. You look at this team and they are 12-20 on the road. Can they go into Dallas and win? I always talk about this. Can you go into any arena and win? Any team can. You can pull off the upset, but Seattle did it against Colorado yesterday. But they're 12-20 on the road, 15-16 at home. That is not the splits of home away splits for any team that deserves to be in the playoffs. Dallas is a little more in tune, 17-16 at home, a winning record, not as good as you would think it'd be, and 17-13 away. Still, they're winning home and away, and this is why you look at the Dallas Stars and they're sitting second overall in the West, because they're getting the job done. I can't take the Calgary Flames here. You're getting a very low price on the Dallas Stars. I trust Ottinger much more than I trust Markstrom, who's having just a terrible season as well too. Give me the Dallas Stars, and let's put this game to rest.
Yeah, let's put the Calgary Flames to rest as well, Carm. I'm just done with this team. I checked while you were talking there because I was curious about it as well with the odds there for Calgary. They're now minus 260 at DraftKings to miss the playoffs, to not make the playoffs. That's unbelievable.
Wow.
We missed the boat on that, my man. We missed the.
No, you know what? It's crazy. But Andrew, it's crazy. I talk about, and I hate to interrupt you, so I apologize. But we talk about the juice tolerance thing. I don't like laying big numbers. That's actually a number that I would lay. On the no, I would lay the 260 for them to miss the playoffs, because I'm just looking at their scheduling, and absent of this team somehow putting together, you look at 19 games, and I don't even think 12-7 gets them in the playoffs, because again, they've got 7 games to make up. I think realistically they have to go 14-5, 15-4 to make the playoffs. And that's as one of the wild card teams. Can you see this team going 14-5, 15-4? I can't.
The thing with the Flames is that they just don't play consistent enough. They'll have one really good game that, and I've fallen. Everybody that watches Puck Time knows I've fallen for it. There's been a 2-game stretch where I'm like, the Flames are back, and then all of a sudden the next day they just play like we thought they were. So here's one thing about the Flames I'll say. This might throw people off, but I did say there was a 5.5 before. I still have a small lean to the over in this game. I lean towards the Dallas side, but I'll tell you what, the Flames are not the same defensive team that we thought they were. They have not been that team for the past month and a half, and they will not turn into a better defensive team in the next week or two. This is a Flames team that gives up a lot of odd man rushes. They take a lot of bad penalties. And Dallas, whether or not they've been known for an under team as well over the past few years, they've got lots of goal scorers right now. Lots. There's games where top players like Jamie Benn won't even have a point, and the Dallas Stars put up 4 or 5 goals. This is a talented team. So I look at some of the games these clubs have played recently, and they've been a little bit chaotic. So I feel like I would lean towards the over, and you're getting the 6 at plus 105. I would shop around for the 5.5, but still getting a nice plus price on a total is always really nice. And, if you would have told me at the start of the year I was playing an over 6 with these two teams, I probably would have said, no, that's not true. But in this scenario, actually, I think that we could see an over with both these teams. And Daryl Sutter wants them to play like a defensive style, but clearly it's not working. Whatever he wants is not being put into place.
No, and it's a good point, Andrew. And these two teams played a matinee game earlier this year, I think in January. And originally, I think I tossed that in as part of like the 6 and 60, the Saturday matinee game, and it went from being Ottinger and Markstrom to I think it was it Wedgwood and Vidar, and the game finishes 6-5. I think they had it shot over the total, but I know the teams like Dallas don't think about this, but what better thing to do to the Calgary Flames, who you lost in 7 games to in last year's playoffs, than to put another nail in their coffin this year by beating them at home tonight. That's not coming into play, but I would love for the guys to be thinking about that, put a nail in their coffin, and all of a sudden they're 7 to 9 points out with 18 games left, and then it's at minus 260. Tomorrow will be at minus 350 or minus 400. So I'm going to play it at the end of this show.
I mean, that's what we call value, right? I mean, I was disappointed in myself for not releasing when I talked about on the show with Allmark and some of these guys. Allmark to win the Vezina and different prices like that, they're gone. Connor McDavid with the Hart Trophy. Value is getting a price that you think won't be there tomorrow or the next week or the month after that. That's what value is to most bettors. So let's jump into our next game here. We have the Capitals and the LA Kings going head to head here tonight. This game is in Los Angeles, and we have a Kings team that has been, to put it lightly, very successful at home, Carm. They're minus 145, Capitals plus 125 in this one. And I want to find this number that I had here. It was a pretty big number, I thought, here as far as them at home games. Well, I know they've won 5 straight home games, but I found a really big one. Well, here's the one I had written down. Kings are 40-17, their last 57. That's their run right now against teams with a losing record. They're a really good home team, though. Like I said, they've won 5 straight home games, but they're a team that does not take these games lightly. And the Washington Capitals, since they've gotten Alexander Ovechkin back, they have played better. But they defeated the San Jose Sharks. They were my sell team last week. They're going in a bad direction right now. They defeated the Anaheim Ducks, who is a really bad team, and they beat them only 3-2. And, of course, they pulled off that nice upset victory as big underdogs against the New York Rangers. Other than that, their last 10 games have all been ugly, ugly losses. The LA Kings have looked like a lot better of a team. They've put up goals consistently. And in some of their losses, they've all been mostly 1-goal losses. I'm not going to overthink this, Carm. This is a good home team. This is a rock-solid team in spots like this, and I feel like they'll show up here and continue their winning streak. They've won 3 of their last 4 games, and I expect them to continue that effort here tonight. So give me the LA Kings. I'll take the price here on the money line. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Andrew, I can't really go against that. When you were talking about like their home record, they're 19-11 at home this year.
There it is.
And the Washington Capitals, or the Capitals of years past that we've talked about, were always teams that could win, that were winning consistently on the road. But that's dropped off the last couple of years. They finished in the 8th spot last year and played Florida in the first round. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I as I mentioned before, I bet against them to not make the playoffs. I just think they're not going to get an easy night from this Kings team, because this is a Kings team that is 2 points out of the top spot in the West, and 2 points out of the number 1 seed in the Pacific. They very well could end up there. Copley's playing phenomenal for this team in goal. It's just Washington is where are they? 15 and their splits are 15-6 at home, 16-17 on the road. And we talked about Copley. When we talk about records, he's 19-4 with a 279 goals against average. 19-4, Andrew, is a fantastic thing. When you see him in the net, I love these goalies that they're big in the net, where they look, their top half of the body looks like a bodybuilder, where it's so big that those the top right hand corner, top left hand corner are almost taken out of play, which is good when you got a guy like Ovi on the power play taking a shot from the face-off from that right or left face-off circle. You want to take away the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. It's LA Kings for me tonight, -145.
Gotta love that old-fashioned saying there, and he has been playing really well. I'm happy to see him getting more recognition from the media and just around the league right now. He's been rock steady for that LA Kings team. And real quick, they're 12-1 to win the Western Conference. They're 30-1 to win the Stanley Cup. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Colorado, they're heavy faves. They are not the same team that they were last year. Missing Kadri is huge for them. They're still a rock-solid team. They've got a lot of guys, and I think the best part about them is their offensive defensemen. But I'll tell you what, 30-1, Carm. I mean, that's a pretty good price there for a team that's like heavily involved in this playoffs right now. I don't really see how they're 30-1.
No, and I get it, because a certain stigma follows certain teams, right? When you talk about teams, we're always drawn to the big name teams. So. Which is weird when the odds come out, because you look at it and listen, I understand the players that, and I'm not stepping on the Leafs, but I am stepping on the Leafs, but we keep seeing prices of 8-1 every year on the Leafs, and they haven't made it out of the first round. But you look at it, people are focusing on the Boston Bruins right now. They're focusing on Carolina, but Carolina hasn't, they're a great regular season team. It hasn't translated into the playoffs the last couple of seasons, because they can't seem to win on the road. But we gravitate to the teams like Colorado, the Stars. When people look at the LA Kings, we know that there's players on that team, but they play as a team and not one or two guys leading the team, because that doesn't seem to work. Just a case in point, the Edmonton Oilers. You look at the St. Louis Blues. When they made that run, they brought up Jordan Binnington from the minors, the AHL, and they went on after the Christmas break or after the New Year's break. They went on a run where they won 13 straight games and pulled themselves from the bottom of the West into a playoff spot, and then kept playing playoff hockey right through and beat the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals. And if I asked you to name, well, you could do it, but you ask any hockey fan to name 5 guys from that St. Louis Blues team, they probably couldn't. They probably say, well, Binnington, O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and then it kind of drops off after that, right? Yeah. Because it's a collective more than anything else. So the Kings are playing as a collective. Sometimes you take this price at 30-1, Andrew, or 12-1 to win the West. And you guys know, I'll take a price at 10-1 or higher that I know that if they get into the playoffs and can make a run, I can hedge out a profit. And then I'm done. Just make my profit off a team. And at 12-1 and 30-1, you can make money off this Kings team, because they're going to make the playoffs. And then it's all about playoff seeding after that.
Yeah, it just puts you in a really good position, having a playoff team at that price. You get past that first round, you have plenty to work with. So great stuff there, Carm. Definitely agree with you. And I'm definitely tempted. Even if it's just the 12-1 there, the Western Conference looks pretty good to me. Last game here, Nashville Predators, Vancouver Canucks. The odds are pretty tight here on this one between these two. And Carm, I got to tip my hat to you for something here, because you've been talking about Thatcher Demko for a few weeks now, about when he gets healthy, what he's capable of. And, one can only wonder what this Vancouver Canucks team would have looked like all year long if they had him in net. I know the team in general wasn't playing that well, but they're playing better hockey. They're playing more inspired. I think we've seen 3 of their last 4 games go under the total. Nashville's gone under in 3 straight games. What do you have for us in this game?
Yeah, this is how many times have we seen over the last month, let's call it a month, a total that featured the Vancouver Canucks being at 6 and not 6.5. We just haven't seen it. And it's because the goaltending issues on that team. They were struggling defensively. And even when you're struggling defensively, you can still get a stand-up performance from your goalie and win games. D'Elia just wasn't that goalie for Vancouver. Like, I had to look up his nationality because I would have figured he'd be Swiss for how many goals he was letting in. But with that said, Demko's back in net. He played a pretty good game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And my only worry is with this game, because I want to take Vancouver in this game and what essentially is a coin flip because of that is that they don't get fat and sassy, which is hard to believe for a team playing as bad as them, off a win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Everyone gets up for the Leafs when they're playing, especially Canadian teams. They love to beat, whether it's Edmonton or Calgary or Ottawa or Montreal or Vancouver. They love to beat the Leafs because the Leafs fan base is all over Canada. There's so many transplanted Torontonians in every other city that they're always at the games. With that said, the fact that Demko's in goal tonight, and he should be in goal. If it was anybody but Demko, I'm taking Nashville. But if Demko's confirmed, I'm going to take Vancouver in this game. I'm still not sold on Nashville, despite them putting together a short little 4 and 5 games. Again, Sharks, Arizona, Chicago, 3 of those wins, and a 2-1 win over Florida. Vancouver fits into the mold of Nashville beating up on bad teams, but I'm not going to take them tonight.
I'll leave the side play to you in this one, and I'll just rock with the total, and I'll go under here. I would have liked to have had the 6.5, but the 6 is fine because we are getting a pretty good price on it here. And like I said, 3 of the last 4 games have gone under for the Canucks, 3 straight unders for the Nashville Predators. And whether it's been who they're playing or just how they are playing, the Vancouver Canucks are definitely playing a better defensive style of hockey, taking care of things in their own end. And like Carmine has mentioned, having Thatcher Demko back has really helped them as far as great goaltending and really just bringing that confidence level to the team where when they give up a power play or they give up a 2-on-1, he's going to be there to have their back and stop the puck. And of course, we know the great goaltending they have over there in Nashville. So I'll take the under 6 in this one. And Carm, as far as the props on this one, anything for you here? I saw JT Miller over 2.5, but it's heavily juiced. Anything for props?
Nothing in the way of props in this game. I just couldn't. In looking last night, I had possible games that I wanted to do props on. This wasn't one of them. I'm going to be on Wager Talk today after puck time, and I'm going to have some player props on that show. So tune in. It's been an unbelievable season for player props. They continue to cash at a very good rate. Number 1 at Wager Talk. So keep following along. But Andrew, before we go into the next segment, when I talked about looking at teams and scheduling, and you look at the Avs, and I did a scheduling thing on the Avs, and they're sitting, I think, what are they sitting? 7th or 8th right now in the standings. And you could be worried about where the Avs are right now just because they've lost, where are we here with the Avs? They've lost 3 straight games, 74 points, 74 points in 7th place. But I just see a good run coming for this team. Their next 18 games, 12 of them are against non-playoff teams. More importantly, 11 of those games are against the following: San Jose Sharks 3 games, Arizona Coyotes 3 games, Montreal Canadiens, Detroit, Chicago, Anaheim Ducks 2 games. That is as easy a schedule as you could ask for in your next 18 games. And then mixed in there are a few games against teams that are in that 7th, 8th, and 9th spot that are involved in playoff races. So I think all will be good with the Avalanche. We always worry when you see a team that you expect to be higher in the standings not being there. But let's not forget, this is a team that is only, I think, 8 points out of top spot in the West, and that is such a favorable schedule for them that as they're getting healthy, they're just going to go on a run. So Look at the futures. The futures markets on teams that are in 7th or 8th place are always worth a look, because you can end up buying something that will change dramatically once that team goes on a good run. So I definitely buy on any division or conference ones on Colorado if you can get a good price. With that said, we're talking about buy and sell. So Andrew, I'm looking forward to your buy and sell this week.
Didn't know if we had the intro here for that this time around, but I'll jump right into it.
I think we lost the intro. I thought I set it up pretty good with the buy and sell, but I'm not sure where.
We're all good. Let's get right into it. I have a quote to start things off for the buy and sell segment here. And of course, this is the segment every week where I find a team to bet on and a team to bet against. And I'll start with the buy team. My bet on team for this week are the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are a team that's struggling right now. And I'll start things off with a quote. This is from John Cooper. He benched Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, and Kucherov in the third period of the game against the Buffalo Sabres. Something you will not see a coach do, especially a coach that's had so much success with his team. But with that much success comes with a huge standard. So he said, as coaches, you've got to put your team in the best position to win. And 99% of the time, those guys give us the best chance to win when they're on the ice. I just felt that today was not one of them. And he said, you can't go out there, like I said, and give it a half effort. Those guys are the reason we have a standard that high. It's because of those guys that it's there. And for a period, it was not there, and they had to sit. So I thought that was pretty incredible that John Cooper, down in a game against the Buffalo Sabres, he benched his players. They go ahead the next day. They get blown out of the water and lose to the Carolina Hurricanes 6-0. They had 4 shots on goal after the first 2 periods. I believe there's no better time to hop on the Lightning than right now. Their schedule coming up, they play the Flyers, Golden Knights, and Blackhawks over their next 3 games. At the bare minimum, they're going to go at least 2-1. I believe they could go 3-0 during that stretch, and I think this is a really good time to hop on the Tampa Bay Lightning. My fade team here for this week, this is not the first time this team's been on this list. Probably will not be the last time. We're going to go ahead here and discuss the Anaheim Ducks here. Anaheim, look, this is the thing with them. We've talked all year long about how they give up lots of shots. They give up all kinds of goals. But realistically, the biggest problem with them is that they have no depth. I mean, their scoring stops at about 2 or 3 players, only a couple guys that contribute, and they can't stay out of the penalty box. Their penalty kill ranks at the bottom of the league here in the NHL. They're playing the Kraken. They're playing the Flames. They're playing the Preds, the Islanders, teams that are trying to trend in different directions. Even the Vancouver Canucks, they want to end their season on a good note. So I am betting against and fading the Anaheim Ducks going into this week. We are buying the Lightning and we are selling the Anaheim Ducks. What do you think there, Carm?
I like them, Andrew. I think almost every single game the Anaheim Ducks play for the rest of the season is against the team that's ahead of them in the standings. So sorry, I couldn't resist. But yeah, no. Listen, we hate to use the phrase because it is such a tough phrase of this team is tanking. This team is tanking. But at this point, there's less than 20 games left. Some of these teams have 18 games left. You should be playing for, at worst, a bottom 3. You shouldn't be playing. You should literally. This is on the coaches. I think you put in the backup goalie. I think you limit the minutes for your stars, and you can't try and lose games, but we see teams tanking all the time. Listen, the draft this year is so important because you can build your team around a superstar, especially if you have not only a good draft throughout, but if you get that number 1 pick and then you also have talent in the minors with a couple of youngsters on your team, you can build a team for the future. So that's what Anaheim should be doing. That's what San Jose, Chicago, Montreal Canadiens, that's what they all should be doing at this point right now is don't try and win games. But We saw it in the NFL. Who tries to win a game on the last play of the game and blow the number one pick in the draft? Houston did it. So
Yeah.
you just never know. Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
saw something, Carm, that said that Bedard has actually been texting with Mason McTavish from the Anaheim Ducks. Every time they lose a game, apparently McTavish is in touch and texting Bedard. So you better be careful with doing that. But he pretty much knows. I mean, the players even know. They're like, yeah, if we keep losing, at least there might be a bright side to this. Let's jump into best bets here, Carm. Of course, it is $9 Monday. Every single play up and available for all cappers, listed for only $9. All kinds of great specials going on, of course, at Wager Talk, including that March Madness special you saw before the show started. What do you have for us here going today, Carm?
All right. 3 plays up in soccer. It was a really good past week in soccer as we get rolling. And Champions League starts in our Champions League Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm going to have full cards for that in Europa League. So maybe that 3-day all access isn't a bad idea. 5 plays up right now in NHL. 2 of them are player props. A couple, and the other 3 are sides totals. So you can grab those. It's $9 Monday. You can grab those for $9. My show best bet last week, very good with the player props. So I'm going to stick to them for the time being. This is one you usually like, Andrew. I'm going Tyler Toffoli tonight. He stayed under his shot. His number is 2.5. He stayed under this his last couple of starts. And when I see that, I want to jump on going over the total because while he may have stayed under the last couple of times, he's gone 17-3 his last 20 over that number, 20-5 in 2023. The turn of the year, he has hit at 80% on his over 2.5 shot props, and that's where I'm going here. Over 2.5, minus 140, Tyler Toffoli.
I love it. And sometimes it's almost like you want the guy to lose a couple times just so that number can stay pretty solid. And it's at minus 140. You got to love that price. I mean, if he would have hit the last 2 times, we're probably seeing a 150 or 60. So you got to love that price there. So far for me, 1 hockey play, 1 college basketball play. Looking forward to starting the week on a great note. I don't often say this, guys, but do us a favor. Hit the like button on this video. We have a great following here with Puck Time. You guys always comment, but hit the like button for us. Really does help us out. We do appreciate that. My best bet for the show, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going with an under in the Vancouver Canucks. Under 6. Vancouver and Nashville, both these teams trending under right now. We're seeing solid defense out of both clubs, especially Vancouver, where they're really turning that around. And the goaltending with guys like Thatcher Demko, Saros, these teams are built to play defense. It's only a matter of time where Vancouver starts doing it on a consistent basis. Give me the under 6, Nashville and Vancouver. Quick recap, of course, Carmine with Toffoli over 2.5 shots on goal. I have the under Preds and Canucks under 6 there. And other than that, we have Don Buster on the show for tomorrow here on Puck Time. Should be a great week of breaking down games. On behalf of Carmine, I'm Andrew. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
How do you like to finish the college basketball season paying under $30 per week? Between now and Selection Sunday on March 12th, there's still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and Wager Talk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special that will include the rest of the college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. That's right, from Monday, February 27th through Monday, April 3rd, there are 5 full weeks of hoops action, which breaks down to under $30 per week. Sign up for this promotion now on your favorite handicapper's homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship in Houston on Monday, April 3rd, plus all non-March Madness tourneys, including the NIT and CBI, all for only $149. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experiences in sports. Some call March Madness the most exciting time in sports betting, so act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time. Grab your favorite college basketball handicapper, or perhaps add 2 or 3 college hoops experts to make this March Madness not only exciting, but also profitable. No coupon is needed. Just head to the homepage of the handicapper of choice and lock the $149 price in now. As the earlier you sign up, the more days you receive.